Welcome everybody to Training to Win, Reno to Verdi. We're just getting rolling here with the Procrastinating Pedalers of Reno, Nevada. And just to give you guys an idea of what's going on, this is a nice training ride. Now, we never know what this group is going to do. Sometimes, we got some crazy fast guys in here, and we're going to just hang on for dear life. And other times, it's a nice, mellow ride with conversation, and everybody's courteous. And this ride is kind of in between. We're not going to kill ourselves, but by the time this ride is finished, you should be pretty tired. Now, I'm not a huge road racer. I mean, I like to race, but my best disciplines are the time trial and the crit ride. And the crit better than the TT. The road rides, the hills always kill me. And my strategy is going to be completely different from yours. If you're a road racer, you may have a number of skills, a number of talents that help you win. And mine is to stay in the group as long as possible and hopefully nip it at the finish line. So my strategy is to pretty much get a wheel and stay on it as best as possible. I'm always looking for somebody who is smooth, who's got a good cadence, like Dave and the yellow right in front of us, and who has some power to close gaps if they should open, but do it smoothly. And what I mean by that is that you don't want somebody to be sprinting up to every wheel that they see. They get a gap, they sprint to it, all of a sudden there's another gap, maybe they'll sprint to that. And the less sprints during a road race, the better. So what we want to do is try and find somebody who has the patience and the skill necessary to help you win a race. Even though in most races, winning is a solo effort, regardless, you have to rely on people in front of you. So right here, this is just a nice warm-up. And we'll warm up for a good, half an hour maybe a little less. We'll get on 4th Street. That's at the T intersection coming up. And from there it picks up a little bit. But when we get to that first hill climb, that's when it gets a little harder. Now, the other important thing in a road race is to pick a position in the pack, in the group, that isn't so close to the front that you're fighting the wind, but also isn't in the back. And not only is the back dangerous, if somebody goes down in front, chances are you'll go down with them, but it's also a risky place to be with respect to getting separated from the group. The back has its advantages, like you have a big, nice, easy draft back there. But think of it like a rubber band. It just gets stretched out further and further, and eventually, somewhere in the middle, it snaps. And you're caught out on the back, and with a big gap between you and whoever's up front. And closing gaps is not how you win races. Oh, nice and easy here. Keep your gear nice small gear, and pedaling cadence should be, easy. Here's a little hill, so let's just pretend that we're on this course, and let's pop it up into a bigger gear. And work our way up this hill. Now, the guys we're riding with, both of them up front, very experienced riders, very experienced racers. And if you know who you're riding with, those are the guys you want to look for. Chances are, every group that you're with is going to have a couple of young guys who are fast, who are wound like a tight spring, and just want to jump at every opportunity they get. If you've got 2 or 3 experienced guys in front of you, including yourself, you should be able to wind them back in without having to make a hard acceleration. Now, if this were a real race, this warm-up wouldn't exist. So, obviously, before any road race, warm up and stretch, get the legs moving, get the heart rate up, get a good glean of sweat on you. And my strategy has always been to go to the point where I'm really taxing myself, but not for a time long enough to really hurt myself. When you go from a warm-up to a race, and you go from your heart rate in the aerobic zone 70-80%, and then all of a sudden you're in a race and you're hitting a 90, 95, 98% of max, that'll not only demoralize you, but just kill you. If your body is halfway acclimated to that effort, it's just not going to hurt as bad. So before any race, I'm warming up, and I will shoot myself up to 89, 90% of max for 15-20 seconds, then recover and do it a couple more times. But again, there's a fine line between getting that threshold intensity where you're used to the effort levels to actually exhausting yourself. So you don't want to do that. And at the risk of sounding like I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank. Who's life is like a box of chocolates. Can't think of the name. Oh, racing is like a bag of marbles. You only got so many, and when you're out, you're out. And the more marbles you lose typically as a result of fast accelerations, the shorter you'll last. So the key to any race is trying to keep yourself in a position where you're working hard, but you're not accelerating unless you absolutely have to. And even if a gap opens up in front of you, depending on the distance, you don't want to sprint up to the wheel. You want to slowly ride up to the wheel. Be patient. Don't panic. And do not lose any marbles in that chase. A lot of times, if you're second or third back, like we are now, somebody will come around screaming past you. And the instinct is to get out of the saddle and cover the gap. But you got to remember, there's lots of people behind you, all wanting to do the same thing. And as that train goes by you, it starts stretching out. You get the benefit of the draft as they're actually passing. You can slowly start accelerating, getting up to speed. Eventually you'll have a wheel, and you'll never have sprinted to it. And you're riding comfortably, in control. And the guy up front who started the whole thing is dying. Make a right turn here, and we're gonna just go through this little subdivision called Mogul. Just a few more nice miles before the harder climbs start. And we're in a nice spot here. It's comfortable. Got a nice draft. Even though we're climbing, we're not working horribly hard. And everybody is pretty controlled right now. We're splitting the two riders, and that's always Real nice position to have if you can have it. There's a really nice bubble between them to draft. So let's just pick up the effort a little bit. Should be pretty engaged in the anaerobic zone here. Now again, like I said, everybody has their own strategy for winning a race. There's a lot of people who are gifted climbers, and whenever they see a hill, they'll take that opportunity to attack and knock you out of your game. If you're like me and you're not a hill climber, again, don't follow that brake. Try and get on a fast wheel, solid, somebody you can keep up with. You're saving 60% in wind resistance if you're behind somebody. And hopefully, once you get into a flat or a descent, even though the climber is off the front, he's all by himself. You and your group can pull him back, spend a lot less energy pulling back, sharing turns up front. Now we're going to come downhill a little bit and make a right turn. Almost immediately hit with a nice steep little climb. And this is where I usually get hurt. So, what I'm going to do, what I usually do, is I ride to the front. If I know a hill is coming, get up front on that hill. Be the first person in that lineup. Set a pace. Something difficult, but not to the point where it's hurting you. Chances are that whoever is behind you doesn't want to have to work any harder than they have to. So they don't come around you. So you establish your own pace and you ride that pace. And let whoever is behind you come around you. I'm not doing that here. But we're getting steeper, so let's get in our big gear up front, big ring, and slowly click up to a higher gear in the back. Should have a nice big gear going. You're really feeling the hill in your legs. And watch your heart rate shoot up. Stay in the saddle. Let's not waste any energy rocking back and forth. And we're still in the group. It's a good thing. Getting steeper.
No breasts up here. 4 breasts? Lots of breasts? Looks like a sausage fest to me.
Make sure you're at 90. All right, get a little break here. On the horizon there is the Sierra Nevadas. And we're entering Verdi. So that's our let our legs rest. Forrest Gump. Coast. That wasn't too bad. Now we get the wind in our face, and there's always a headwind here, pretty much a headwind all the way into Verdi. So we're feeling it a little bit. And we're going 19. And we're pedaling pretty good here, around 95. 100. Picking up the pace for the group behind us. I'm going to pull them a little bit. We're in our drops. Get in your drops. Keep the cadence high. Pick it up. Should be at 105. Spin out those legs, get that lactic acid out from that climb. Get your heart rate up. Don't let yourself get too cold. Off to our left is the Truckee River. A 100 RPMs here. Comes a hill. Set the tempo. Off to our right, great single track access. Got a little hill coming. We're on it. Don't back off too much. Gonna slowly pick it up. Looking behind us, finding the end of the train, so we can roll in behind. And it gets a lot easier. We're in the back. Keep up your tempo. Slightly easier gear. Went one down from the climbing gear. And we're almost to the summit. Drop your gear down. And on the back, you're feeling the wind buffeting as you're in the slipstream. I'm recommending small gears so we can keep up the tempo, keep up the cadence. We don't want to fatigue our legs. We'd rather save those for the sprint. At least that's me again. We can always recover from high heart rates. So our body won't let us go beyond a certain effort level. 90% of your heart rate pushing a little gear, spinning. It's a whole different workout from 90% heart rate pushing a big gear. Keep your heart and lungs working. Try and give your legs as much break as possible. So we're spinning, keeping a cadence around 90-95 here. And even though you're at 84-85% right now of your max heart rate, which is not an easy level, it feels pretty comfortable right now. You're spinning fast, feeling strong. You feel like you have a sprint, and you feel like you can take these guys on the outside, but don't follow those instincts. Picking up tempo here. Higher cadence. I'm at a 42.5 right now. The gear ratio that you're looking at on your left is just a recommendation. Right now, I want you focusing on cadence. Keep your cadences around 100 and peg your heart rate. Little corner or turn to the right, up a short hill. This usually is a nice little sprint up to the rest stop. So pop it in a big gear and hammer up the hill. And back down. And relax. Coast. I'm gonna rest here. Let the group catch up. But the video will resume right away. Pinecone Road is coming up, and it's a good short quarter mile, about 14-15% grade. There's a couple of hills leading up to it, but it's short, and a lot of people really want to hit it early and fast. And when you're going 4 or 5 miles an hour, even a quarter mile, it seems pretty far. So we're gonna pick a gear where we're comfortable in the climb, and we're going to watch our heart rate and keep it in the climbing zone, which for me is around 90% is my best climbing heart rate. Some may be a little lower, some might be higher. If I go over 90% for too long, I'll blow it. So we're gonna maintain about a 90, 91, 92 up the climb. And then when we're starting to see the summit, and I'll call it out, we're gonna put everything into it, because this race up this climb is for posterity. And we want to hit 100% of max on this climb. And if we can come up in the group, we're doing pretty good. Because, like I said, I'm not a climber. Okay, here's our first short, steep section. So put in a big gear, stick it in your 52 up front, and slowly click up to your highest gear. Once you're in your biggest gear, get out of the saddle. And start climbing. Out of the saddle now. Let's go. Come on. Push yourself. Push it hard, because we don't want to fall off this pack. This guy's got too much experience. They know how to pace themselves too. Stay out of your saddle. Keep the gear up. Keep climbing. And now sit down and drop it down 1 or 2 clicks. Still pretty steep. Watch your heart rate. Shoot for 90. Got a group that shot off ahead. Still feeling the climb. You're not so much spinning as you're mashing, pushing hard on the pedals. Keeping your cadence up. 85. 80, 85. Everybody has their ideal climbing heart rate and ideal climbing cadence. You gotta find your own. Oh, calm before the storm here. Here comes the hard part. I'll try to give my best directions, but it's gonna be hard. So clicking into your big gear up front, slowly work it up to your 52.9. Save that 10 for the steep part. There goes Dave. He's trying to egg us on, but we're not buying it. Here comes a couple more guys. Peg the heart rate. Feeling the hill. You're not attacking it yet. Just feeling it. Jump up to 88. $90. And right here, get in your biggest ring, get out of the saddle, pump the legs, but we're not attacking yet. Cadence around 70. Here comes the hardest part. Looking at that corner. Around that corner is the summit. Now I want you to attack it. Come on, bury it. Dig deep. Get that heart rate up. 100%. Let's go. Everything you got. Sprint as hard as you can. Oh, come on now. Get after. Let's go. Harder. Use that as motivation. Chase him. Don't let him get away with that. Back down. Recover. Whew. Coast. Whew. Soft pedal. Just flipping around. And head back where we came from. Small hill. Soft pedal up it. But let's feel the hill. Let's relax on this descent. But instead of coasting, get out of the saddle and bounce on the balls of your feet. Your heart rate should match your coasting, resting heart rate. Bouncing. Bounce to the music if you're hearing it. If you're not bouncing, then you're gonna have to pedal a little bit. You recover faster on a trainer. It actually takes a lot more work on a trainer to get your heart rate up to where it's supposed to be. Little climb here. Just pedal up it. We're gonna rest at the stop sign. And again, let the group catch up. That'll only be a second for us on the video. A nice little descent here down to the road with the bridge we just came off of. And we're just gonna soft pedal down so we're not dropping our heart rate too much below the aerobic zone. And keep it around 65, 70. If you want to let your heart rate drop to what's showing, that's fine. It just takes a lot of extra work to get your heart rate up. Your heart rate responds a lot faster on the road than on a stationary trainer. And the goal is here is when we're working, we're maintaining a heart rate that we're aware of how our body feels when we're at 70%. How do we feel when we're at 80%? How do we feel? So on and so forth. So you can really help dial in your heart rate when you're racing or training without blowing through or having to constantly accelerate or deaccelerate to match the heart rate. All the accelerations and deaccelerations will eventually clean you up of your marbles. Maintaining and knowing how you feel at a 90% level, you can hold that for an almost indefinite period of time. That's a critical skill for time trials. which if you hop on with me on Training to Win 3, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Keep a good cadence. Get your heart rate up. Here comes a hill. You're going to pop it up. Slightly bigger gears. Jump up to your 52. Stay with the group. This is a tough climb here because if you're not with the pack when you get to the top, there's a long straightaway into the wind with a slight hill climb, and if you're by yourself, you'll never get back on. So sometimes we just have to dig a little deeper to stay with the group so we can stay with the race. Bigger gears here. Out of the saddle, get into your biggest ring, and get out of the saddle, and let's pop up this sucker. Climb hard. Out of the saddle. Come on, push it. Find a wheel. Get on it. Drop your gear down. Nobody up there wants to work. Keep your tempo up. Ninety RPM, 90% of max. Again, let's work on cadence. 90-95. Ignore the gear ratio. If your heart rate goes above 90%, pop it in easier gear. But let's keep your cadence between 90 and 95. Bring your heart down, keep your cadence up. You got a nice draft. Everybody up there is doing the work for us. So without coasting, we should be bringing our heart rate down by simply lowering the gear. Again, we don't want to kill the legs. Right now, after the short climbs, legs are a lot more tired than you might think. If it came to a sprint right now, you'd be hurting. So right now I'm in my lowest gear, 42.1. Cadence is about 93. And I am at my target heart rate, 76% of max. And let's coast a little bit. As we're at the next rest stop, let some more folks get back on. This is a 2 water bottle workout. If you don't have water, pause this and go get some. The group is all together. We got a nice descent here. Chance to recover. Just keep the legs moving though. I don't think we coast much here. And I like to keep the legs moving anyway, because again, on a trainer, your heart rate will just fall in the toilet. If you're pedaling a little bit, now the best place to be in a pack during a descent, somewhere in the back. Nobody's going to get separated. And you, best of all, don't have to pedal. And if you have a chance, you'll just pass up a few people without working at all. You'll just be pulled right through the group. And with minimum effort, you can slingshot to the front, take your pull up front, set the cadence or set the pace on the climb. So this is a really pretty part of Verdi. And usually we kind of take it easy here. Soak up the sights. We're right at the base of the Sierra Nevadas. We got the pine trees. The Truckee River is just off to our left or right side. Really nice few places to pull over and get a picnic. So let's just keep our cadence up around 90 again. Keep your heart rate under control, but don't cool off too much. Now we're heading under Interstate 80. Yeah, we got a little teeny climb here. Just put on some resistance. Make it feel like we're on a climb. last few days, right before this video was shot, there's a bunch of fires leaving a really hazy, smoky horizon. Sometimes it gets so bad in Reno that you can't ride it. But the winds were pretty good last night. Cleared a lot of the smoke out. So we could still smell it. Again, focus on your cadence around 90. We're pulling. So many people will see somebody shoot past them like that. Get out of the saddle. Hammer for the wheel. First place you should look is behind you. Anybody else coming up? If so, slowly accelerate and take the last wheel. Patience will win more races. And the better you feel during a race, the better chance you'll have of winning. If you're feeling dead, it's going to be a long race. Here we got a nice little climb here. Pop it into a big gear. Keep it in the small ring up front. Just put it up to your highest gear in the back. And hammer up this little hill. Everybody likes to fly up here. So come on. Flattening out here. Click down. 42.7 is good recommendation. .5. Group up front. See who you're with. Nobody here is going to let themselves get dropped. And you'll see how calm, patient. A lot of miles left in the ride. We're about halfway through this ride. See, it's picking up here. It's a good spot. It's fast descent. Doesn't look like it, but it's downhill. Heart rate is all over the place on this ride. You got fast brakes, short little climbs, solo pulls, rests in the back of the pack. But you got to focus on trying to maintain that heart rate that's displaying. Get to it slowly. Don't sprint to that heart rate. Just increase your gear resistance. Keep your cadence and work your way up to it. The better you know your body, the better you'll be able to compete. We're in a little climb here. Add a little resistance. Again, keep your cadence around 85, 90. Until you're at your target heart rate. The hill is controlling our effort. It's a little steeper up here. Get a little harder gear coming up here. Go ahead and click it to a smaller or bigger ring, bigger gear. Keep that cadence up. Heart rate should start shooting up a little bit. And down. Keep the pedaling. And rest. This is usually a gentle climb with the tailwind, which can be really hard if you've got somebody up front who's got a lot of power. They got a tailwind. You're not getting much draft. It gets a little more tricky. I think Dave is trying to hold him back. Safety is also a huge factor in a good race. Don't take any stupid chances. You're not getting paid. Most of us we'll be racing our club races, Cat 4s. A few of you out there. Got a little climb here.
Yeah. One of the servicemen, Jeff, he got one. He goes,
Heart should start catching up to the effort. Keys to safe racing is hold a straight line, be predictable.
I don't know. Like theoretically, it'd be
Follow the wheel in front of you. Don't brake in the pack.
what I thought at 189.
The group slows. Try and stay off the brakes and just goes past them.
But that's theoretical. I knew a 15 years ago. I knew a 40-year-old dude who could get you to 20. You know.
Don't be too spontaneous. Pedal steady. Try and keep your spot in the front 25%. And if you have the luxury of knowing the people you're racing with, use that to your advantage. Shelter yourself in a group of safe, responsible riders. Follow your line around a corner. Don't try and cut from the outside to the inside. You never know who's off your wheel. Don't want to cut anybody off. If you see a pothole in the road, try to avoid it slowly and let people know that there's one there. If you got people on your wheel, really be careful for road debris, obstacles. Picking it up just a little bit here. A little bigger gear, we're into the wind. We're fighting the wind and we're up front. Cadence around 90. Bring your heart rate slowly up to your target. If you see a hill, don't be shy to take the initiative and pick your own gear. This was one of the harder ones to build a gear ratio guide due to all the changes in acceleration, rest, plus it's a real variable terrain course. Pop it up, bigger gear, we're climbing. Set the tempo for the people behind you here. And on the descent, back it off. Don't set tempo on the downhill. Don't get hit by the truck. I will just stop pedaling when I'm descending. Somebody wants to pass me, that's extra free speed. Jump on that wheel, get pulled right along, doesn't cost you a thing. And bottle down. As we get into the later stages of the race, it usually becomes a lot more controlled, a lot more disciplined. Your less experienced riders are blown up. Your more experienced riders are waiting for their move. And it gets very calculating at just about this stage in the game. When you're training, you want to train your weaknesses. Like right now, my weakness is the hill climb, so I'm really going all out on the hill climbs. My strength is the sprint, so I'm not doing that. My strength is flat into the wind. And the final 30 seconds of the race. You want to race your strengths. So whenever you have an advantage, use it. If this group fractured on this part, a little flat, there was a break off to the front, I'd be in it. But if that break occurred on a hill climb, I wouldn't. I'd look for those riders who could help me get to that breakaway group. And if you're a climber, this is not where you'd want to try to break away. Although, there's not a whole lot of climbs left in this course. So if you haven't already made your move, gotten off the front, you're just going to have to try and find another strength to work on. Maybe that one last little hill before the finish. Get up it as hard as you can. And then just tuck it in and try and ride it out and hope nobody passes you at the finish line. If you're a sprinter and you got a group like this, you're styling and profiling. Rest a little bit. An actual race, you might be working a little bit harder than this, but not a whole lot, believe it or not. If you are working harder than this, you probably won't do so well. Right turn here. Yeah. Somebody didn't call that out. And that happens all the time, racing or not. If anxieties are high, something like that happens. Somebody's going down. So if you know the course, watch out for those turns. Stay safe. Expect somebody's going to make a mistake. Do your best to avoid it. So we're maintaining our 90. Got a nice aerobic heart rate. Usually when you start winding down towards the end of the ride, people will actually slow down, take it a little easier, especially if you've got an exclusive group. And your group is fast enough where you're not going to let too many people back on, but it's smart enough that they're not going to kill their reserves, because everybody, like this guy, is waiting for that finish to make their move. And everybody's going to make their move in a little different spot. Some guys like to make their move from the front, or they like to keep the tempo really high, hot, fast, try and blow off as many people on their wheel as possible, and hope that nobody can stay with them. But if they've got a guy on the wheel who's got a good finishing sprint, it could be it. Then you got the sprinters in the group. Again, you got 30 seconds of crazy speed, and they'll try to stay on a wheel until that last 30 seconds, and then they'll either come out of the saddle and crank as hard as they can, staying low in the drops, try and get as much speed out of their legs as possible in 30 seconds. That might mean you've got 3 or 4 guys in front of you, and you accelerate up to each wheel, let that momentum carry you past, up to the next wheel, up to the next wheel, and then hopefully when you're second in line and you got 30 seconds left, you just shoot it out take the stage. So right now this race is shaping up really good for me, or this ride. And this ride in the last 3 miles turns into a full-on race. Not quite yet though. Unfortunately, we don't get to see the finish. But it was a good one.
Lines up! Go ahead! Single file!
But I will keep you on pace till the finish of the ride, even though the video will not correspond with this ride. I've got about 10 minutes left or so in the video. Little climb here, move it into a bigger gear, try and keep your tempo up, cadence up. And if you can cover these changes in heart rate, you're doing better than me. It's really hard, and it's probably the most fatiguing part of any bike race. Constant changes in effort, tempo, as the paceline stretches out, endeavors to close back in on itself. Paces pick way up as they close in on themselves, and they shorten. Paces slow way down, and you're coasting and resting. So you're constantly going from aerobic to red zone, aerobic to red zone. And if you can acclimate yourself to that, you'll do really well. We got a short climb here coming up.
Now we have to set up a plan for the sprint. Contact Dave wins.
Head quick on.
Yeah. And it's the first yellow.
See you guys up on the ridge. Just looks cool. There's really no passing here. Play with those gear changes. Okay, I just said there was no passing. Here we go. Up this hill, come on, push it a little harder. You can see him working up there. Come on. Stay on the wheel. These guys are too good to let them go.
He gets no pass on the bike like that.
Bigger gear. Keep up your effort. Push it to the top. These guys don't want me in their group. Slow it up. Yeah, nice long downhill. It's Jeremy on our right sandbagging it, using that body English to make himself appear fatigued, but he's not. He'll be behind you and he'll be gasping for air. He'll be faking. And he'll come around you as you ease up because you think he's not going to be a threat. And you get a look at his legs. What was I thinking? Coasting. Background into through Mogul. Keeping up the cadence. Nobody's resting here, so you shouldn't be either. Keep your cadence around 90, 95. Picking up, and you see we don't panic, we don't go after the lead rider. We got a lot of guys rolling in alongside of us, and now we're drafting 3 of them, and we're taking it easy, and there's still 4 miles left in the ride. And we are just taking it easy back here. Now we're going down. Watch your heart rate. Heart rate should drop here a little bit. We turn left here, get on 4th Street, and that's where the anxiety starts to build. The final few miles, people start to pick it up. They start to get a little more jumpy. But all you do is pick your spot where you're gonna do best.